Welcome to NFL Nexus. Right now, as we speak, the National Football League is standing right on the precipice of a tectonic shift. We're talking about a shift so utterly massive, it could permanently redefine what it actually means to own, operate, and control a professional sports franchise. Today, we're going to dive deep into this explainer to uncover a high-stakes collision that is completely threatening to reshape the Seattle Seahawks. And we're looking at this from every angle. From the absolute heights of the billionaire suite, where the sheer number of commas in a bank account dictates the future of an entire city, all the way down to the grinding day-to-day war room where scouts are currently fighting for the franchise's life. We are looking at a dual-threat crisis and a massive opportunity that could honestly make or break this team's future for the next half-century. Now, before we break down the film on this corporate and football collision, make sure you subscribe to the channel, like the explainer, and comment down below with what you think about all this. And hey, if you want to take it a step further and get exclusive behind-the-scenes access, support the channel by becoming a channel member. We have a staggering amount of ground to cover today, because the stakes have literally never been higher.
Everything changed in a matter of seconds. We need to start with an intense reality check here, setting the stage for a franchise that is teetering on the brink of a massive, landscape-shifting power play. I want you to just picture the NFL ownership circle for a second. For decades, it has operated a lot like a deeply insulated, highly exclusive country club. It's a place where old money billionaires collect these legacy franchises the way some people might collect vintage sports cars. Think about how historically impenetrable this shield has been, right? You've got families passing down teams through generations, fiercely protecting their tightly knit cartel from any kind of outside disruption. But right now, the doors of that club are rattling on their hinges. For years, the Seahawks have been the loud, proud heartbeat of the Pacific Northwest. Their identity is gritty, it's deafening, and it is entirely defined by the fans who built it from the ground up. But what happens when the ultimate tech titan, a man whose empire is literally built on global data, ruthless retail dominance, and an inescapable streaming infrastructure? What happens when he steps onto the gridiron? This isn't just a local sports story anymore. We are witnessing a head-on collision of classic, dirt and sweat football culture and modern, absolute corporate scale. The old guard is terrified, and honestly, they have every reason to be.
$224 billion. Just take a long, hard look at that number. That is not a typo. That is the sheer, overwhelming net worth of Amazon founder Jeff Bezos, who has just emerged as the serious, undeniable betting favorite to purchase the Seattle Seahawks. Now, in the high-stakes game of professional sports ownership, cash is obviously king. But this level of wealth, it represents a completely different universe entirely. Let's put this into perspective for a second. Remember when the Walton family bought the Denver Broncos for a record $4.65 billion? The league thought it had reached the absolute ceiling of financial might. I mean, the Waltons are incredibly wealthy, but Bezos, his net worth swallows the Walton family whole. When a man with $224 billion targets your team, he isn't just looking to buy a roster of 53 players. He has the financial muscle to buy the stadium, buy the surrounding real estate for blocks, fund infinite guaranteed contracts by casually placing millions into escrow without even blinking, and he could outspend every single ownership group in the league combined. And according to the latest market movements on platforms like Polymarket, this is absolutely no longer a fringe theory. Bezos is now the heavy favorite, and the tremors are already being felt all the way in the league office.
To truly understand the gravity of this moment, we really need to trace the deeply intertwined history of Seattle's ownership, especially following the tragic loss of a local legend. Back in 2018, the foundation of Seattle sports was fundamentally shaken when longtime owner Paul Allen passed away. And you have to remember, Allen wasn't just an owner, he was the savior who literally kept the team from relocating to Southern California back in the 90s. From 2018 to the present day, the franchise has been kept stable, completely controlled by the Paul Allen Trust and overseen by his sister, Jody Allen. But here's the critical, underlying legal reality that so many fans just completely overlook. Trusts are fundamentally designed to eventually resolve. The assets must be liquidated and the proceeds distributed according to the late owner's philanthropic wishes. Jody Allen has a strict fiduciary and legal obligation to maximize the value of this asset before selling it. So the clock has been ticking loudly, ruthlessly in the background of every single season. And now we arrive in 2026, and Jeff Bezos emerges from the shadows. This connection is deeply woven into the fabric of the city itself. Amazon literally transformed Seattle during Bezos' rise. His corporate footprint, the glass spheres, the sprawling campus, it's all over the city's modern identity. And now, that identical massive footprint is casting a very long, inescapable shadow over Lumen Field.
So what we're looking at here is a perfectly polarized reaction from a Seattle fan base that has survived its fair share of relocation fears, bitter defeats, and ownership drama. The psychological divide in the Pacific Northwest right now is visceral. It's real. On one side of the coin, you have the undeniable upside. You're getting a modern owner with virtually infinite resources who could elevate the Seahawks from a really strong regional powerhouse into an absolutely untouchable global sports brand. I mean, imagine state-of-the-art practice facilities, sports science labs that rival aerospace centers, and a stadium that makes current NFL arenas look completely obsolete. But on the other side, you see the deep, paralyzing anxiety of the everyday fan. They see the writing on the wall. They picture skyrocketing ticket prices pushing out the diehards who have held season tickets for 3 generations. They fear the absolute death of the legendary 12th man culture, that raw, ear-splitting grit, being completely replaced by a sterile, corporate, prime game day experience. Fans are legitimately terrified the stadium will start to feel more like an exclusive tech convention than a Sunday football game, where the passion is sterilized just for the sake of global streaming aesthetics. Both of these perspectives are completely valid, and it's creating a hyper-tense, suffocating atmosphere in the city right now.
Let's play this out. If Bezos actually takes the reins and leverages his relentless background in retail, cloud computing, and digital media, he could transform Lumen Field's already legendary environment into a completely unprecedented entertainment empire. Let's break down exactly what this massive corporate synergy means for the future of the sport, because it's huge. First up, global partnerships. We're talking about instantly connecting the Seahawks brand to international markets on a scale the NFL has never seen, basically turning Seattle into the undisputed global hub of football. Second, expanded streaming integrations. Imagine exclusive real-time AWS analytics completely reshaping how fans watch the game. We are talking about biometric data of players, route running probabilities, and behind-the-scenes locker room content deeply and exclusively integrated directly into Prime Video. Think about how it changes the entire locker room dynamic when every single movement is data mined for content. Third, massive sponsorship opportunities that would utterly shatter existing NFL revenue records. And finally, exclusive content ecosystems. The team basically becomes a multi-billion-dollar media production company that just happens to play football on Sundays. The NFL central office in New York would likely bend over backward for this level of corporate synergy. He wouldn't just change the Seahawks. He would change the entire structural business model of the National Football League forever.
There is a really fascinating old saying circulating around league circles right now. In sports, where billionaires collect teams the way some people collect vintage sneakers, fans know one thing. Rumors like this rarely appear out of thin air. Now, listen closely to me on this. A completed sale is not imminent tomorrow. The ink is not currently drawing on some hidden secret contract in a back room. But the smoke surrounding this blockbuster deal, it is getting incredibly thick. And in this league, where there is smoke of this magnitude, there is usually a multi-billion-dollar fire waiting to ignite. The fit just makes entirely too much sense, both financially and geographically, for it to be pure fiction. It really is the ultimate alignment of massive capital and legacy. And honestly, until the gavel officially falls and the trust is fully resolved, this heavy speculation will hang like a thick fog over every single decision made by the current front office.
But look, while the ownership drama looms like a giant thundercloud over the stadium, there is an immediate high-stakes crisis happening right now on the ground floor. We are essentially looking at a dual-front war. While the sky is potentially falling at the ownership level, the ground is crumbling in the front office. You see, the NFL is a ruthless, cutthroat copycat league. That's just the fact. When a franchise demonstrates sustained, elite success in drafting and developing players, rival teams act like starving sharks smelling blood in the water. They don't just want to beat you on the field on Sunday. They want to steal the masterminds who built your roster in the first place. They want to acquire your tactical secret weapons through outright corporate espionage. And right now, as we speak, one of the most critical, sharpest minds inside the Seahawks war room is planted squarely in the crosshairs of a desperate division rival. And this brings us to the undeniable pedigree of Seattle's front office, perfectly highlighted through the remarkable 12-year rise of executive Nolan Teasley. His journey is incredible. He begins back in 2013. He joins general manager John Schneider's front office as a humble scouting intern. No ego, just an unrelenting obsession, grinding through thousands of hours of grainy college tape in the middle of the night. Over the next decade, he methodically, quietly ascends the scouting ranks. He proves his eye for talent time and time again, eventually becoming a crucial, indispensable architect of highly successful draft classes. I mean, think about the spectacular 2025 class that replenished Seattle's core. Teasley was the mastermind diving into the smallest details of those prospects, the biomechanics, the psychological profiles, the specific high-pressure interviews at the combine. He wasn't just guessing, he was engineering a roster, and his relentless dedication completely pays off. In 2023,
January, he is officially elevated to assistant general manager of the Seattle Seahawks. He becomes the quiet, high-performance engine running in the background of Seattle's most successful era. And it is exactly this kind of flawless, battle-tested resume that makes desperate teams willing to pay absolutely whatever it takes to lure him away from the Pacific Northwest.
So naturally, the Minnesota Vikings are desperately circling Teasley, trying to poach his winning blueprint to fix their own collapsing foundation. Let's just look at the absolute, unparalleled chaos currently unfolding in Minnesota. First, they abruptly fired their general manager, Kwesi Adofo-Mensah, in January, after just one single year of a multi-year extension. That alone is a glaring, radioactive red flag of internal panic and ownership dysfunction. Second, and this is wild, they literally entered the recent NFL draft completely without a general manager. In today's highly complex, fiercely competitive, data-driven NFL, navigating the draft without a GM is like flying a commercial jet entirely blind into a hurricane. It is unprecedented, and quite frankly, it is disastrous. Why all the desperation? Because they plummeted from a dominant 14-3 record in 2024 to a miserable 9 wins in 2025. Completely derailed by devastating injuries and a shocking lack of roster depth. Now, in full damage control mode, they have requested a highly coveted second interview with Nolan Teasley in May of 2026. They are putting all their chips on the table, basically begging him to abandon the stability of Seattle and bring his magic to their chaotic war room.
Success breeds poaching. It is the absolute oldest, most unavoidable law of professional sports. When struggling, dysfunctional franchises look for a savior to rescue them from the basement of the standings, they invariably target the architects of proven Super Bowl contending teams. We have seen this historically dismantle legendary dynasties. Just look at the New England Patriots. Their brain drain over the decades wasn't just players retiring, it was rival teams relentlessly stealing their best coaches and top front office executives, year after year after year. It makes Nolan Teasley's potential departure an almost inevitable consequence of Seattle's very own excellence. John Schneider built a powerhouse front office, and the steep cost of that sheer brilliance is constantly having your top lieutenants targeted by desperate, panicking billionaires. Losing a visionary talent evaluator like Teasley right before a critical season is a massive tactical blow on its own, but losing him while the entire franchise is holding its breath over a potential historic ownership change. That is a perfect storm of instability that could deeply and perhaps permanently affect the roster for years to come.
So as we conclude this explainer, we are left staring at a lingering, highly unresolved thought about the immense pressures currently pulling at the very seams of the Seattle Seahawks. From the general manager's desk, where brilliant foundational minds like Nolan Teasley are being actively hunted by desperate rivals, all the way up to the absolute pinnacle of the billionaire's suite, where Jeff Bezos looms with a financial war chest ready to alter the trajectory of the league. Will Seattle actually lose the very architects of their hard-fought success before the Bezos era even officially kicks off? Or are we simply witnessing the necessary, painful growing pains before this franchise evolves into a truly untouchable global sports empire? One thing is absolutely certain. The aftershocks of these next few months will not just be felt in Seattle, they will permanently alter the National Football League. The clock is ticking. Remember to hit that like button, drop a comment with your take on the Bezos takeover, and subscribe to NFL Nexus. Thank you so much for joining us in the film room, and we'll see you in the next explainer.